All right, welcome my friends to episode 669 of Extreme Health Radio. Thanks for being here with us. We are only, look at this, we're only 8 minutes late today. This is amazing. This is like the closest to being actually on time that we've ever been. So this is awesome. No tech issues for the most part. So this is great. Hope you guys are doing well. If you're new to the show, we broadcast every Friday morning at 10:45 a.m. Pacific time. And we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on all those platforms as long as they will continue to have us without censoring our work. So that's where we are, 10:45 a.m. Pacific time every Friday morning. And you can come join the chat room, subscribe to the show so you don't miss any of the shows, all that kind of good stuff so that you don't miss any of our content. And let me give you a little update on what we have going on in the future. Lots of cool stuff happening. Let me remove our little box there. Okay, so we're going to talk to Dr. Marisol Teijeiro this morning about the mystic medicine of castor oil. So this is going to be really cool. Next week, we got mineral expert Morley Robbins. We'll be talking with him about immunometabolism. The Friday after that, we have George Wiseman. We'll talk about Brown's gas and molecular hydrogen. And then we have Dr. Seth Gerlach. We're going to talk with him about his research that he's done into the ingredients in vaccines. We've done a lot of shows on vaccines themselves, and there's so many different angles on vaccines. But on this one, we wanted to focus primarily on the ingredients and what are those ingredients and how do they affect you. The Friday after that, we're going to talk with Brian Hoyer about EMF mitigation strategies, and Sophia Smallstorm the Friday after that, talking about the COVID vaccine. Lots of cool stuff. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these shows that we have. And I'll put everything available at extremehealthradio.com for this show /669. So 669 is the number you want to remember. And I'll put the notes to everything that we talk about on today's show. So let me bring up Dr. Marisol. Let me read her little bio so that you can get an idea. She is known on Instagram and in her brand as the Queen of Thrones, so that's pretty cool. And the director of Sauna's Health Practice, and she's does a lot of work with castor oil, and she works with people around the world with their health and digestive issues as well. And she has a unique line of self-care tools, all kinds of cool stuff on her website. She's been doing this for a long, long time. So let me bring her up and turn her audio on so you guys can hear her. Dr. Marisol, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Justin. Thanks for having me. I'm so very excited to be here. Very cool.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited to have you on as well. And when I was learning about your work, it's funny. We've done 669 or 68 shows, and we haven't done anything on castor oil yet. It's crazy.
And this is the thing is that, castor oil is much experience that I had when I first met castor oil. It was the product that was at the bottom of all the health food store shelves. And for some reason, when I first saw castor oil at the bottom of those shelves, there was like this white halo hanging around that castor oil. And I mean it. I'm serious about that. Yeah. And something attracted me to it, but, I kind of was like blowing up all the dust and it was all dusty. And I remember asking someone about it and they were just like, oh, you don't know about castor oil, but castor oil is just, the oldest trick in the book. And then from that point in time, I wasn't even a naturopathic doctor. It took me on a journey with 20 years now with this amazing, mystical, magical oil that really has an amazing place in everyone's pharmacy cabinet, at-home self-care. It really is a staple in my practice, and it is life-changing from so many aspects for so many people.
Yeah, it's cool. I love, my passion is just really sharing, really kind of unique options for healing. And castor oil has been around since the days of Egypt. It's been around forever, and it's cheap, and it's super powerful. We did a show, I was telling you before the show, with Amanda Vollmer on DMSO. That's another product I've been using forever, and it's super powerful as well. So I love, highlighting these therapeutics that people don't hear about,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that everyone has some kind of a connection with castor oil. They might have, there's some great TV shows. As an example, Stand By Me, the movie, right? Like the original one from 1980s. There's a whole scene of the child drinking a bottle of castor oil to go to the bathroom. Also the old cartoon, I believe it was Tom and Jerry. There's an excellent episode about castor oil, and So it's actually like really embedded within our culture. But what has happened is that, castor oil is termed as a stimulant laxative in pharmaceutical circles. So according to the FDA and, Health Canada, they consider castor oil an oral laxative, but they don't understand all the other amazing applications, which are, much more what has been the focus since the beginning of time, since 4000 BC when it was first used.
Wow. So it was used 4000 BC. That's crazy. I wonder how they figured that out.
Yeah. So the first use of castor oil was actually used in lamps, so to light, right? It was actually the way that they created light in Egypt. And then the Egyptians started using castor oil in their embalming technique because they started realizing that this oil happened to be so preservative. So it would actually like preserve the body. And so they started using it in embalming because for Egyptians, they weren't really concerned about this life. They were more worried about the afterlife because for them, the afterlife was much more important. And so, but then, Cleopatra, like all these amazing, legendary Egyptians started using it for beautifying purposes, health purposes. So Cleopatra was said to have beautiful eyes because of castor oil. Her skin was shiny because of castor oil, and her hair was rich and thick and full because of castor oil. And it keeps going. Like I'm not kidding. Like the Romans, so Pliny the Elder was a traditional classical medicine man to the Roman emperors, Caesar, Augustus, and such. So what happened was that they were using castor oil mainly for female problems, things like ovaries, premenstrual syndrome. Anytime there was any type of hormonal flux, of mood variation, they would be using castor oil topically to help alleviate those problems. And then traditional Chinese medical doctors to the, emperors of Chinese dynasties would use castor oil for inflammation. Ayurvedic medical practitioners would use castor oil. Hippocrates, Galen, the fathers of medicine. And I mean, the list just goes on and on and on throughout history. And this medicine is truly what I classify a mystical medicine because it has that time, that length, that usage. And what it does isn't just only affect the physical body, but it affects many other dynamics of our bodies and physical function and mental and spiritual as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I heard about it first, like I think in the early 2000s when I was researching and learning about the power of it. And then I think I also heard people doing it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jessica Ainscough, who's the wellness warrior.
No.
She unfortunately passed away from cancer at a young age. But her cancer journey, she went to the Gerson Institute.
Gerson Institute, yeah.
And part of her protocol was taking castor oil internally. And oh my gosh, that just sounds like it would be crazy.
Intense. Yeah. Castor oil as an oral stimulant laxative is very powerful. I very rarely prescribe it for this with any of my patients. It's really only if they've had like a severe long-term chronic constipation and just nothing that we've tried outside of castor oil is working. I actually always go to the castor oil packs, which is, you'll see this on the side and I can explain it in a bit, but it's so powerful. Yeah. Mussolini in fascist Italy used to use castor oil as a torture tool orally. So he would get people to like take it orally and then they'd have massive diarrhea and it would in many cases kill them because they would just become so dehydrated. So I use castor oil orally as a stimulant very sparingly because I prefer it topically. There's so much more benefit when it's done topically and it has such a foundational effect on the entire body.
So if you take too much, it'll dehydrate you, and that's part of what kills you if you take too much?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like anything. If you have a severe diarrhea that is incredibly intense and you're just eliminating water and water and water, so you'll just get dehydrated to the point where your electrolytes will go out of balance and your body just can't do it anymore. And the dosage orally is very, very small. Like according to Health Canada and at the FDA, it's anywhere between 1 to 3 teaspoons a day in a chronic constipation.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I've never taken it orally. I've always done it on my skin. It doesn't sound fun orally.
Better. There's so much. Like again, we're really used to in our modern day world. We're a little aggressive in our therapies. We're used to modern conventional medicine, which is kind of like cut, burn, kill. Let's take it out, or let's burn it off, or let's kill it off, like as in the classical example of like cancer. But when we're working with mystical medicines like castor oil and castor oil packs, they do their majority of work over time and baby steps, little micro changes at a time. But these changes are so foundational and so deep that you might think at first when you're doing a castor oil pack, oh, it's not doing anything. But if you have like a coach or a guide who's tracking you, or if you're really good at tracking your response over time, you start to notice, and you're actually blown away with the major changes that you have with just implementing the most simplest of things. And that's where mystical medicine, that's where the mystics, the ancient mystics, that's where they had such great power, because they engaged the body's natural vital force, the healing ability that we naturally have in small little micro moves over time, which actually create more foundational change than anything that you can do that you can get a fast, quick result.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Now, do you recommend for a lot of your clients that come to see you or see you virtually, is castor oil something that you recommend most, for most people?
Well, 100% of the time, I recommend castor oil packs. It's my number one prescription with my patients. It's actually the first thing that I do with them, because it does such foundational moves that when they do the castor oil pack right away, it clears up a majority of their problems. And then I really know what I'm dealing with. And then I can actually like save them money, save them time, get faster therapeutic effect on everything that I am doing. So the first thing they do when they come in, they all get castor oil packs, every single one of my patients. It's like my first thing. Boom. Yeah.
That's so cool, because it's interesting. Like when we're talking about DMSO, it kind of spans the gamut of whatever diet you're on. So if someone's following this program or that program, it really doesn't matter. Everyone can do and benefit from something like castor oil, right?
Exactly. And the key really is this, is that when patients walk into the office, what I see is that there's two things that I know for sure. They have an enormous amount of inflammation and an enormous amount of stress. And those two things are the promoters of disease in our beings. And so what can we do immediately that will help to reduce stress and reduce inflammation? Well, supplements, you have to take a lot of supplements in order to reduce your stress and to reduce your inflammation, especially when it's an entire physical body of inflammation. People will take things like turmeric or, green tea, and they're taking, 1 to 2 capsules a day. Yeah. How on earth will a capsule that size, how will that have an effect on your entire total physicality of inflammation or stress?
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't
Disconnect.
make sense. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. You would literally have to probably take an entire bottle.
Yeah.
But when you're doing a practice like a castor oil pack, this is something very physical that you're doing. You're doing it repetitively every single night over time. And it really has an effect on the organ system that most deals with stress and inflammation, which is the liver and the digestive tract. So when you're having that direct effect, like one-on-one time, it's stuck together, you're having that effect. Well, of course, there's going to be a lot more benefit from doing a therapy like that over the long run than it is to take supplements. And don't get me wrong, I love supplements. Supplements are always part of my protocols, but I love doing castor oil packs beforehand, because then it saves my patients money, time, everything, and they get better and feel better faster, because they've set up the foundation for their body, their garden, their temple, to be able to accept, receive all that goodness from those supplements that they're taking. So everything just works that much better when they do castor oil packs and they set it up properly.
Wow. So you recommend maybe castor oil before someone takes their supplements?
Oh, 100%. So my classic prescription initially, we have a little algorithm in my practice that we worked out over the years. And the first thing we do is we assess them, we look at them, and we start them off with a castor oil pack. And then we also start them off typically with things like probiotics and an alkalinizing agent, just because we know, everyone has acidity in their tissues if they're stressed and inflamed. It goes back to that little principle, right? So we know that they're going to be acidic, so we want to alkalinize them. And we know that their microbiome is off as well too. So we want to start, feeding and seeding really good bacteria into the gut. So we start them off with that. And then at times, if they're having real problems with their sleep, we address sleep, because without sleep in order, you can't heal. And it's another reason why I love castor oil packs, because castor oil packs also help with sleep. So if we can address those things right off the bat on the first visit, then by the time they come to the second visit, what happens is that I now have a clean canvas, a clean chalkboard. I can really figure out the dynamics of their disbalance in their system. Because ultimately, as a naturopathic doctor, I don't want to just give them a pill for an ill. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's no good. Yeah, you want to set people up with a foundation, right?
Right. So what I want to do, health is defined by balance in the body. Disease is dis dash ease. So you're out of ease. So how do we get your system back into that ease? Usually when you get it back into the ease, the majority of problems disappear. They just dissipate like they go, oof. It's like pixie dust.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out what are any underlying things that still need to be taken care of, if any, because the majority of conditions happen to be due to lifestyle and stress and this inflammation out of control. So if we can balance those things, then we're so much further at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I was reading somewhere recently that the number one and number two reasons why people go to see a doctor is digestive issues or stomach issues, digestion, or a lack of energy. And so this would probably work on both those pathways, right?
Absolutely. So let me give you a little bit of my background story with castor oil packs, besides that I was at the health food store. So my first interaction with castor oil was that I started seeing them at health food stores. And like I said, it was like that light around the castor oil. And I was intrigued to, investigate it a little bit more, find out about it, kind of delve into it. At the time, I was suffering from severe IBS, right? And I had diarrhea all the time. I knew where every bathroom was. And I happened to be a sales rep on the road at that time. So it was very challenging because I literally had to stop at every gas station to go to the bathroom because I couldn't keep it together. And then at times I would have severe constipation. So it would alternate back and forth. I was anxious, so many different issues. Anxious. I had hormonal problems like PCOS, thyroid issues. I was worried about being able to have babies. So I was really a messy mess. And this is what I say to people. Like, I really wasn't a clean canvas. I was a disaster, like kind of a little bit of everything. And, I would always ask the people at the health food stores that I would work at, and I would say, what would you do for IBS? What would you do for, anxiety? What would you do for fatigue? What would you do for that? And so like 90% of the time people would be like, for the IBS, have you ever tried a castor oil pack? Yeah. And they would tell me about it. And, their explanation of it was that it was very messy and it was hard to do. And well, when anyone tells you that right off the bat, you're like, forget it. I'm not doing it. Right.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So it was like 10 years of that. And then I got so fed up with my health conditions that I decided to go back to school to become a naturopath, because I was like, that's it. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done with the doctors telling me, sorry about your luck. There's nothing we can do. This is just how you're going to have to live for the rest of your life. Right. I was like, no way, not doing that. Yeah. So I went back to school, and in school it was the same thing. The topic of castor oil packs kept on coming up. It was like, that was like the, every condition, and don't forget to do a castor oil pack. Okay. And don't forget to do a castor oil pack. So it was like this theme throughout my life, and that just kept on popping up. And then third year naturopathic college, at the end of my third year, moving into my clinical practice, I was so excited. I just got hit with a condition that I didn't even know what it was. No one could explain. I just couldn't get out of bed. I was so fatigued. I was, basically like stuck in my bed. And if you know anything about me, that is completely not my energy. I'm a little spitball, like full of energy, firecracker. I'm always the one like, let's get this going, Right. And it was the complete opposite. I couldn't get out of bed. It felt like I was wearing lead boots. I started having severe panic attacks to the point where, I would find myself like crippled on the floor, unable to move. A couple of times I drove myself to the hospital, and I literally thought it was like my last day on earth. Wow. And it was horrifying. And what was more mystifying than anything was that I was in naturopathic school. I was following with a naturopathic doctor. I was taking all the right supplements. I was doing all the right exercises. I was eating all the right foods that they told me to eat. And yet I still felt horrible, and I actually got worse than ever. So what was this? Why was this happening?
Yeah.
And then a light bulb in my head came up, and it was like castor oil packs. It was kind of like a still small voice, right? Castor oil packs. Do you remember those castor oil packs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it, like I really felt that my guidance towards castor oil pack was really done in the divine. Like I really, that's what I mean by I'm not kidding, that there was like a white halo around the castor oil. It was literally that. And when I got that intuition, that intuitive hit, it was like, do this castor oil pack, do this castor oil pack. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I've got no other options. I'm stuck here. I had to make a phone call to my mother and tell her I couldn't like probably finish school. And, you know, she gave me the best words of advice. She's just like, you know, sometimes in life we need to take time away from busyness of life to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in her words, I saw something, busyness, you know, so many of us are caught in that busyness of life, right? Busyness of taking care of the kids, busyness of trying to accomplish this, do that, you know, whatever your demands may be on your life.
Mm-hmm.
There was just so many demands on my system that my body had no idea how to relax, how to de-stress, how to reduce the inflammation. It was just, you know, ever more increasing inflammation and stress in my body. So my body hit a breaking point where it basically just shut off everything.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point I said, okay, I'm going to do these castor oil packs. So I actually ended up with a needle and a thread. I started sewing my very first castor oil pack. And like, this is like, you know, 11 years later, this is like the model. It didn't look like that at the beginning. It was very clunky and like my bad sewing. This is now professionally done. But I put that pack on that night, and, you know, I put the oil on it. It made it a little ritual. I was pretty exhausted, so it was really hard to even get that together. And I remember putting it on my body and lying down. And the minute that I did that, it felt like a biblical verse, like the sky opened up and the angels began to sing. Because I feel that for the first time, probably in my adult life, I felt what relaxation was.
Uh-huh.
And I realized how it wasn't that I was deficient in nutrients, maybe as well too because of my IBS, but what I was really deficient in was the ability to balance out my stress and put my body into the relaxed state. And this is what I see as one of the most chronic conditions that we have out there, is that, you know, the fatigue is caused because our energy centers are exhausted because we have been demanding from them more than they can ever do. And our digestion, you know, these two being the most reasons why people go to the doctors. Well, you know, digestion isn't just about digesting your food. Digestion is about how we digest our lives. So if we aren't doing a good job of it, being able to manage our stress, deal with what's coming towards us, you know, be all that we can be, like it's impossible to be able to be healthy. Mm-hmm. So we really, in our lives, especially in this day and age, we need to create these rituals that give us that peace of mind, that relaxation of stress, and that trigger and stimulate certain functions in our body that you can't actually achieve with supplements. Mm-hmm. You can truly only achieve with things that you have to go and get outside of the house, like massage therapy or acupuncture, acupressure. And, you know, cost-wise, time-wise, that ends up actually just adding to the stress. But castor oil packs happen to be that middle zone between supplement and therapeutic action on your body, like a massage. Mm-hmm. So it's something that you could do at home, you can do regularly, that really helps.
Yeah, so for the majority of people, I'm assuming know what a castor oil pack is, but for those that don't, explain just the mechanics of it. Like, what is it, and how do you do it, and what does it consist of?
Yeah, so it's super, super simple. This is our Queen of the Thrones castor oil pack. So what I did in that moment in time when I was really sick is I basically created an easy way to do it, because I knew myself that if it was going to be messy the way it was prescribed in the days ago, you know, back in the day, once upon a time, I would never ever do it because it just wasn't my style. I'm all about effectiveness and rapidness, and you know, I'm a modern woman and I want things, you know, now. I of course know that, you know, certain things I can have now, certain things take time in our journey, right? That's kind of the way it goes. But castor oil packs are simply a cotton flannel. Ideally, you use organic cotton flannel, which is what the Queen of the Thrones castor oil packs are. You want to make sure that the flannel is very, very soft on one of the sides, because you actually need the material to be soft in order to elicit a certain effect on your tissues and on your skin receptors. And you simply pour organic castor oil. Make sure your castor oil is always in a glass bottle, because castor oil is the #1 carrier oil. It is the only vegetarian oil and the only oil that can actually go deep into the tissues and not just stay on the upper layer of skin. Because most other oils, whether it's jojoba or olive oil or sweet almond oil, whatever you may be using with essential oils or any other therapy, they only stay on the top layer of skin. But castor oil brings everything into the body. So if you have it packaged in plastic, unfortunately, you're also bringing in plastic into your body. So stay away from plastic when it comes to castor oil.
Interesting. So castor oil is a little bit like DMSO in that respect then, right? It drives deep into the body.
Drives deep into the body. It's actually really well combined with DMSO. I know quite a few practitioners who actually combine the castor oil with the DMSO, because you'll get better effectiveness with it as well, topically. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. For those that aren't familiar, when you do a castor oil pack and when you're done, there doesn't seem to be much oil left, right? It feels totally dry. No. It's like, where did all that oil go,
Exactly. So that's the magic. You simply pour the oil on the cotton flannel, 2 tablespoons to start. And then with our castor oil pack that is really economical is that you use less and less oil each time. Where, the original prescription, the once upon a time way to do it was like use the entire bottle each time you do a castor oil pack, which really, if you think about it, that's a big waste and it's not necessary.
Yeah.
But with this, it's just a little bit of oil, and then you place it right underneath of the right rib cage, over the liver area. So this here is the liver area, and ours just easily attaches to the body. So you can walk around with it. You don't have to lie down if you don't want to. You can, I've recommended it to some of my patients who have, problems digesting food. I have them actually wear their pack while they're cooking dinner, so that way that their digestion is ready to go when they're eating dinner, and then they tend to digest their food a lot better. So there's lots of great benefits to doing it this way. So that's one of the little tricks I have patients do. But ideally with the castor oil pack, when you're doing it, you wear it for 1 hour, at least, that's minimum.
Okay.
And then even better to wear overnight. So if you when you wear it overnight, you get so many benefits. And people, what they find with castor oil packs is that they'll poop better. So they'll have more frequent bowel movements. They'll be healthier bowel movements, less smell, all that goodness, all the bad stuff is coming out, and you're having good, healthy stools. People notice that they sleep better because, castor oil packs really calm the body down and relax the nervous system. They reduce the stress, right? And people also notice that they cleanse better. Of course, the castor oil pack being on the liver helps with reducing inflammation and helping the liver to work better. And, this being a mystical medicine, if you look back into the Bible and over the ages, anointing was actually a practice that was done for purification. And anointment was always done with oil. And so castor oil is one of the anointing oils. They've used it for anointing of priests as they move up in the clergy. When Queen Victoria became queen, they did an anointment ceremony. And if you ever go look at her ceremony, her crowning ceremony, it's such a sacred practice that they actually don't show the videotaping of her anointment. She's all covered up. Like it's so sacred, right? Because the anointing is very, very sacred. It connects us. It cleanses our body naturally, not only just from a physical perspective, but also from an emotional, spiritual perspective as well too. And it connects us to divine, right? This is what I love about castor oil. It's literally a divine oil. The alternate name for castor oil is the palm of Christ.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the power of this, right? So they notice they cleanse better. People also notice they bloat less, so that, they'll wake up with a flatter stomach. And what they find as well is that they stress less. So they, reduce all that impact of stress on their body. And hence, you're really creating a superb foundation for your system.
Yeah, that's so cool. Interesting stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. If you guys want access to this castor oil pack, there's a link down below. You should be able to see it if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast, that'll be available at extremehealthradio.com/669. And Dr. Marisol was nice enough to give you guys a 10% discount. So there's a coupon code, I think it's EHR10 for her castor oil packs. So I hope you guys are enjoying the show. We're going to take a little bit of a break right now. And when we come back, I want to talk more about the benefits and the different uses of castor oil and all the different ways you can use it. Because in my opinion, this is one of the most exciting things, because this is a therapeutic that we can start implementing in our own lives, like every single day as a health discipline. And, when you realize the liver has over 500 functions, you want to make sure that liver is working well. So this is episode 669. And if you want to check out Dr. Marisol's website, is drmarisol.com. And we'll be right back right after this. I'm going to bring up a little clip here from our friend and former guest, Ken Rolla, talking about dirty electricity. And this is another stress on the system, is this dirty electricity being emitted via magnetic frequency and electrical frequencies in your walls, in your home, in your office. These all affect our physiology. And we had Martin Paul on the show, and he talked about the cell membrane and how this dirty electricity actually weakens the cell membrane, allowing calcium, interstitial calcium in the blood, to flood the inside of the cell. And he's sort of cross-linked over 100 different diseases and health challenges to this calcium flooding inside the cell. And there is a ton of dirty electricity coming off of our walls in our homes, next to your baby's crib, by your bed, in your offices. So how do we mitigate this? And Ken Rolla talks a little bit about that in this.
Dirty electricity, what that does and what it is, actually, for people that aren't aware, is when the power company is generating electricity and sending it to you, they don't have a constantly perfect, steady supply of 120 volt, 60 hertz electricity pulsing to you perfectly every time. It fluctuates quite a bit, and if you put meters on it, you can see it'll fluctuate. And so that fluctuation, and there are micro fluctuations as well, and those micro fluctuations, all that fluctuation creates these pulses in the wiring that will create EMF pulses around you. I mean, the wires themselves, when electricity is flowing through them, that will create a field around the wires that can affect you. But then when you've got all that little pulsing and micro pulsing going on, it's creating these frequencies of fields that are pulsing and affecting you negatively. And so those devices like the Greenwave, they will act like an inductor and smooth that signal out so you don't get that pulsing. And then my devices, because of the scalar fields, they will structure the EMF coming off of the wires in your house and everything else as well. I use those. I use Stetzer filters and Greenwave. I got both.
Yeah, guys. So one of the things that I talk about and I try to encourage all of you to do is to alter your environment, and not just your environment, but your health disciplines as well, to support your physiology and your biology. And when you have all these assaults like non-native EMF, 5G, dirty electricity, all these types of things, like we have to live in an environment that doesn't affect our physiology this way. And we had Magda Havas on the show years ago talking about blood sugar and how this affects blood sugar levels and increases stress and cortisol. And, when you're sleeping next to a wall that's emitting all of this radiation from magnetic fields to electrical fields. This is why if you go to the German practices, for natural healing and such, they say to move your bed away from the wall because of all this dirty electricity. So the best way to mitigate that is through a Greenwave filter, and they're on our store, biochargeme.com. That's where we have all of our products, and you can buy one of these. You can put it by your desk, you can put it by your bed or your kid's bed, and to drastically reduce the amount of those frequencies affecting your physiology. So those are at biochargeme.com. If you're watching on video, there should be links down in the description for this. And I recommend getting a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them. Put them around your house where you spend the most time. Really, really important stuff to do. So that is the Greenwave filters, biochargeme.com. And then we're going to check this out. One of my favorite things to do, I did it 30 minutes yesterday, jumping up and down on one of those Jane Fonda rebounders from 1975. Check out Dr. Judy Mikovits talking about that.
And let's think about the simplest thing. I used to do one of those rebounders for exercise back in the 80s and things like that. And it's a wonderful way to move your lymphatics, because a lot of these toxins simply clog up the highways. Think about LA. That's why I take the train, because you can't get there from here. There's so much road construction, narrowing down to 3 lanes here and there. That blocks it all up. That's with the lymphatics. That's with the blood. That's why we see all this swelling and inflammation. And then all of these toxins are talking to the cells that say, I have to go repair. And overdoing repair causes cancers, because you need to turn that off.
Yeah, Dr. Judy Mikvitz is an awesome, awesome person. And so the rebounder, little mini trampoline that I recommend is the Bellicon Rebounders. I used to get those cheap ones from the Walmart and things like that for $50. And after going through like 4 or 5 of those things, I figured, why not just spend the money and get one? And I've had this rebounder for like 8 years now. It's just one of the best tools you can ever do, because your lymphatic system is one of the primary ways your body uses to detox, and you have more lymphatic fluid in your body than you do blood. So that should tell you something. And the lymph system is filled with these one-way valves that do not open and close unless there's manual stimulation. And the G-force of jumping up and down on these little rebounders opens and closes those one-way valves. And what I like to do after this is jump in the sauna, but that's for another talk. But these Bellicon rebounders are awesome. They use these little flexi ropes instead of metal springs. So they're silent. The legs will fold so you can store underneath your bed. If you're worried about balance, you can buy additional attachments for your balance to hold on to. If you're worried about that, you can do it when the kids are sleeping. I like to do it outside and then go in the sauna after that for a little detox session. Just a great tool, and something I encourage everyone to do. Even if you work out like I do in the gym, or you go surfing or hiking or whatever your workout, try to do 10 to 15 minutes a day. I do 20 to 30 minutes a day on my Bellicon rebounder out in the sun. It's just a great machine, and I highly recommend these things. So get them at biochargeme.com. When you go through our link, it supports the show. You get an awesome product. Just a great machine, and I highly recommend them a lot. And I'd recommend all of you guys get one and sort of build it into your daily health disciplines and health practices. So those are available at biochargeme.com, or the show link for today's show, which is extremehealthradio.com/669, and just good stuff. I love supporting good people, good companies. The show is free. This is how we earn our living, and this is how we feed our little twin boys, and this is how we feed our puppy dogs, and this is how we feed ourselves. So when you support our work, it's great, because you get an awesome product. You support our work. We can keep doing free shows, and then you get an awesome product, and the company itself is able to keep doing their work too. So it's just a win-win-win all the way around. So consider getting one of these Bellicon rebounders at biochargeme.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Extreme Health Radio, and I hope you're enjoying this show. Please share it with your friends by tagging at Extreme Health Radio on Instagram. Stay tuned for new shows weekly.
I miss having my wife on the show. It was so fun. We have these, 2 twin little boys, and, she's taking care of them now. And I just miss having her on. And she really wants to be on too. So we're trying to figure out a way to to get her back on the show. It's so much fun. But yeah, so follow us on Instagram. So we don't know how long we're going to be able to have these platforms, and we're going to be using them to the best of our ability while we have them. Hopefully nothing happens, but you never know with censorship these days. So
Yeah.
I know, right? Are you seeing anything with censorship on your end, Doctor?
Yeah, quite a bit actually, and it's quite sad, because like what happened to free speech. So yeah, it's really concerning. I have to say, like we're like on all ends. What we've noticed is, like, for an example, our growth on Instagram has really slowed down. Like certain things just slow down, and it doesn't make sense because we were doing everything the same way. And I think, like there's something known as shadow blocking that seems to be happening a lot. And it's sad, because I think that people should be allowed to, you should be allowed to learn anything that you want to learn, right? It should be free speech. You should be able to learn. And, I always have a saying, like, listen to your gut, your higher self, and your doctor, whether or not something is right for you. Because I really, truly believe in our intuition and us, using that as a guide in our lives. And because of our world, I feel that our intuition has been given away to other people. And so we often just allow other people to tell us what to do. But, when you hear something and it sounds true to you, if it's truth or not from the bottom of your heart and the bottom of your gut. There's no absolute, like, I remember I come from a family that is very, my sister's a dentist, so she's a conventional medical practitioner. And I remember like first hearing about naturopathic medicine and natural healing. And it just all felt like truth to me. And everything simply made so much sense. Like if I went back and looked back at the science and the basic biochemistry, I mean, as a naturopathic doctor, I know biochemistry inside out. And the reason I know it that well is because I need to know where my nutrients are fitting in the biochemistry. I need to know all those things. Otherwise, how can I treat properly? Right? So it's very different from just taking a drug and using it mechanistically just to shut down one aspect of a biochemical reaction or function in the system, right? It's very different as opposed to like, energizing that function of the body and making it work optimally. You have to have a completely different type of understanding to do that. So I am very proud of the naturopathic profession, of what we do out there and how we really change the world, because the biggest problem now is lifestyle diseases, right? These conditions like hormonal problems. The reason we have such epidemic of hormonal problems and IBS and digestive problems is because those systems shut down under stress. You're not procreating if you're under stress. You're not having babies. It's just not going to work. You're not digesting your food optimally if you're under severe amounts of stress, of course, right? Your body doesn't even care about having food at that point. It just wants to get through the stress.
Right.
So, this is the reason why there's so much epidemic. And this is where I've really, truly found my place, is because I was one of those persons who was living in such a severe amount of stress on a regular basis. And I just didn't know how to manage it, even though I was keen on trying anything I could, when it came to like supplements and whatever, I would do anything, right? Except if it were messy. And then, what really changed my game plan though for life, where I really saw the most amount of changes and why I prescribe this on every first patient, is that castor oil pack. It really foundationally changed my life. It changed how I started thinking about things. For me, I had always tried to meditate and tried to do that, but I could never actually do it because I just couldn't get myself into that state. And, castor oil packs was like my gateway drug into learning how to meditate, because it taught me how to put my body and shift it into the relaxed state. Because before then I didn't know how to do that. And this is what happens to people who have insomnia, who have, period problems, hormonal problems, thyroid problems. The body's stressed completely. IBS, constipation, if any of those categories, acne, etc. The body isn't cleaning properly, and cleaning only happens in the relaxed state. So they're having issues with shifting from stressed to relaxed.
Yeah, it's fascinating too, because for me, like one of the things or the reasons why I love them so much is that I used to do coffee enemas more. And then we had twin boys and life got busy. And so there's a lot going on, right? And so I just haven't been able to do coffee enemas. I guess I should say that I haven't chosen to do them. But castor oil is so much easier to do a castor oil pack than coffee. I mean, they're both amazing, but gosh, talk about ease of use, right?
Yeah, it's so simple. And, even like, I'm not a huge fan of coffee enemas personally. Like I use them very sporadically in clinical practice or even for myself, because there has been some research in certain clinics who have done them that there can be some problems with the bowel with coffee enemas. So that's one of the reasons that I've kind of shied away from them. I love colon hydrotherapy, because colon hydrotherapy is just water. The other thing with coffee enemas that I'm not the biggest fan of is because of the caffeine content of the coffee. Right. So for what I've seen in clinical practice is that caffeine really, yes, coffee will increase the glutathione, but castor oil packs will also increase the glutathione without having that caffeinated effect. Right. So you actually end up getting more benefit from the castor oil packs, because let me do this. Let me go into the science a little bit, because I want to geek out with you about the science of castor oil packs, because then you're going to really see like it's much more than just pooping better, sleeping better, cleansing better, bloating less, stressing less. It's like, this is like supporting all the foundations. Okay. Great, so I love using educational tools, because I'm, come from many, many teachers in my family line. So we're going to use the acronym of the word faith. Okay. I love this word. As a medical mystic, mysticism is about the mystery of life. And my biggest job is helping people to tune in into their intuition and what feels right for them, and to walk in that mystery and to understand that, you know, you don't know what's going to come out at the end of the day, but if you follow that inner guidance, more than likely it's going to be your right pathway. It's going to put you on your purpose. It's going to put you in your passion place.
Okay.
And there will be challenges, there will be struggles, but we always have to maintain faith. So when I was really sick, it was very, very difficult for me to maintain faith, because I had literally lost my faith in my body's ability to heal. And I was getting to the point where I just was like, this is all hopeless. Like, why am I even bothering it being in naturopathic school? Because, you know, it was devastating. I was unable to get out of bed. I was just stuck there. You know, it was really, really horrendous.
Right.
But then the castor oil packs, like they revitalized me. They resurrected me from feeling like my life wasn't able to do anything, right? So I it just ended up working so well with this word. So I thought it was super fitting. So let's start with the first letter in the word faith, F. So castor oil packs help to support digestion, absorption, and elimination. Now, why is it so important? Absorption, obviously, you know, you are what you eat, but more importantly, you are what you're able to digest and eliminate. Right? Like, it's of no value to have green smoothies all day and eat the best, you know, organic food, you know, eco-healthy, et cetera, best high fat, you know, grass fed. It's of no value if you're not absorbing it.
Okay.
Right? It has no value. It's simply just sitting there and not being absorbed. So castor oil packs improve the function of your digestion, absorption, and elimination. So you go to, and you eliminate out all the toxins. You know, it is not normal to poo every 3 days. Not normal. If we eat every day, we must eliminate out every day. That's the bottom line. Okay. A stands for antioxidant status. Okay. Castor oil is an excellent source of vitamin E, which aids in the recycling of glutathione. There's been reports that show that castor oil actually helps to improve physical glutathione in the body. Castor oil is also a source of an enormous amount of essential fats, including omega-6, omega-9, and the end result of what you get from taking fish oils, which are prostaglandins, right? And these prostaglandins are what help in the inflammation processes of the body, right? Balancing that important inflammation. So that's what I love about castor oil, that high level of antioxidants. Plus there's so many phytochemicals and phytonutrients in castor oil that have antioxidant effects that help with, you know, balancing out those free radicals that cause disease. So super, super good there. Right? Like just castor oil. But now here's a word of a caution. You need to get a high quality castor oil. The high quality castor oil needs to be cold pressed. Remember, it absolutely must be in a glass bottle. You're always looking for it to be in a glass bottle. You also want it to be hexane free. So no chemicals are used in the extraction or manufacturing process. You know, we got a comment on a blog that I wrote for a website that the lady said that she was taking castor oil, but the castor oil had no flavor and wasn't thick at all. And that isn't true castor oil. That's castor oil that's been processed and, you know, denatured and devalued. It has no value to it, right? Because it's lost all of its goodness. Yeah. So you really are looking for good quality. You know, ours is extra virgin, just like olive oil. So first off the pressed, highest antioxidant status, and that's what you're looking for, right? You want good quality castor oil. Then I. What does I stand for? Inflammation balance. Inflammation is our most amazing tool for healing. Paracelsus, one of the Greeks, you know, philosophers, used to say, "Give me the ability to create fever and I will cure all disease." And he was right, because, you know, think about a fever. When you have a fever and you break the fever, then you feel so much better, right? Inflammation too. Inflammation breaks down tissues that are broken and then allows the new growth, the resurrection, the new tissues, the rebirthing of new tissues and healing. However, like a wildfire, because inflammation is simply a fire that's in the system, if the wildfire goes out of control and becomes wild and is damaging and being completely destructive, well, then it's of no value to us anymore. So castor oil packs really help to engage and balance the inflammatory process. We all know that inflammation really has a root in the liver. It's most important area where it begins, and also within the gut. That's where most of your inflammation starts. So doing these castor oil packs brings prostaglandins to the area, same thing that you get when you take fish oils, and it helps to reduce the inflammation locally, which then will spread to the entire body. So if you remember what I said on earlier on, how, how do you expect like a little tiny supplement this size, you take 2 of them a day, how do you expect that to actually like reduce the amount of systemic inflammation that you have? You need way more groundwork, way more ground space to be actually having an effect on that inflammation. Right? So super, super key with that I. T stands for tension and stress reduction. Right? That goes back to my principle about how, patients come in with inflammation and stress. Stress is causative of disease. Your body under stress doesn't cleanse. It can't purify. It can't eliminate. It can't feel good. You can't engage proper, healing factors in the system. We must shift our body into the relaxed state. Whenever you do a castor oil pack, the actual act of wearing a pack and using the soft material that is on these Queen of the Throne packs, what it does is it actually stimulates and triggers the receptors on the skin. And those receptors stimulate the nervous system, and they help the brain to produce oxytocin, which is an amazing hormone. It's the love and connection hormone. And that love and connection hormone not only makes us feel really, 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 really good, like we're having a warm embrace or a warm hug, but it actually reduces the stress hormone cortisol naturally. So this is a great way to reduce stress hormone.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Plus, on top of that, because there's fat on the skin with the material, this also triggers dopamine release. And dopamine, of course, is feel good. It's a reward. It's satiating. It feels the same as though you've had a good, healthy, fatty meal. That's another major bonus of these packs. So, which is with that stress reduction aspect, you feel rewarded and you feel good, like you've been really warmed and hugged. Right. It also is great for partners, like the husband and wife teams. I often in my clinical practice recommend husband and wife to do castor oil pack. It's great for connection. It's great to help, partners be better sexually. Lots of great benefits with castor oil. And you can even use castor oil as a sexual lubricant that'll stimulate the tissues, and you'll have better reaction, better orgasms. It's really great as a tool in that aspect as well too. Less dryness for women who may be in menopause.
Wow.
Right. So so many, I'm telling you this oil really has a place in all aspects of our lives. And when you know how to use it and it becomes that staple in your medical, in your pharmaceutical cabinet, in your self-care cabinet at home, wow. The benefits are major, just major. And then after T, we get to H. So I love this one. Host with the mostest.
Okay.
Okay, I know. Let me explain. So, of course, there's trillions of bacteria that we host in our bodies, trillions, especially in our digestive tract. And when they're unhealthy, well, then we're unhealthy. But if we can get them healthy, then we are healthy. And castor oil has been researched. You can find these on PubMed to be an exceptional improver of the microbiome, but also to break down biofilm naturally. And for those who don't know biofilm is that it's like a layer or almost like a protective layer that bad bacteria make in order that you can't like replace it with the good bacteria. So you actually want to break down this biofilm in order to be able to repopulate and make good bacteria in your gut and have good bacteria in your gut.
Wow. So this would be really beneficial for someone with autoimmune diseases because, as we all know, biofilms are huge when it comes to autoimmunity.
Major. And that's where you see that like these things, this is all foundation. Function of digestion, absorption, elimination, that's a foundation. You need to have that for your health. Antioxidant status, you need to have that for health. Inflammation balancing, you need to have that for health. Tension and stress reduction, you need to have that for health. And good microbiome breakdown biofilm, you need to have that for health. So this is why, as I say, like not only does this bring us back to having faith in our abilities to heal, but it creates a foundation for healing. So that's where I find its place is just enormous. And like, really, it's, in my opinion, if any patient were to come see me, I would be hoping and praying that they would be already doing castor oil packs, because I would already be dealing with a lot different of a situation, and they would already be feeling a lot better just by mere virtue of doing these castor oil packs.
Yeah, it's really amazing when you think about it too, because you figure the liver itself has over 500 functions, right? And so, like, it's just fascinating how when you fix the liver, all of these downstream processes happen and work better in your body. Like, for example, for your body to be able to sulfate cholesterol and through the skin, through sunlight, right? If your body can't store vitamin D, and look at everything vitamin D then is affecting in the body. And so if your body can't store and activate vitamin D, you get another host of problems. And so just by working on liver health, like on a daily basis, this is just a great practice, you know?
Yeah, it just opens up the world in a completely different way for people. And, you know, and the thing too is that it's a ritual. It's a ritual. I love how you said it's a discipline. You know, we need to have a devotion to our healing. And adding in a practice like this is so simple. It's like a 2-minute routine at the end of the night. I always have my patients do this. I actually have them combine it with the beauty sleep kit that we have. So this beauty sleep kit is working with what Cleopatra knew, is that, you know, castor oil makes your eyebrows, eyelashes grow, and it's preserving for the skin. So if you're having dark aging spots or wrinkling, you use castor oil around the eyes. It helps with production of collagen. It again balances glutathione in the skin, which is a great anti-ager. You can use this little amazing spoolie brush. You dip it in the castor oil, and then you put the castor oil on your eyelashes, your eyebrows. Yeah, and this helps them to grow. And then, you know, just in the benefit of wearing a sleep mask to go to bed at night, obviously it blocks out light, but just even wearing a mask, having the mask and the pressure around the eyes, this stimulates your pituitary gland to create melatonin. And another natural hormone that you can elicit simply by wearing a compress on your body. So you wear the eye mask at night and the castor oil pack on your liver. And this is what I call the 2-minute original cleanse, because it's truly like the original cleanse that Hippocrates would do, Galen, all the original doctors would do, would be this little 2-minute cleanse. So simple to do, inexpensive over the long run, just a wonderful value for people. And we have so many comments and testimonials of people, not even my patients, who are just raving about castor oil packs because they found they love them. They love the eye mask. All these things have just really helped them to be able to be healthier and better. And that's super cool because they haven't even seen a doctor, right? They're just doing castor oil packs and having benefits. Like, imagine our world if everyone felt better because they just did a castor oil pack and wore an eye mask to bed. That's it.
I know.
As easy as that.
Yeah, so easy.
So easy. 2 minutes, no matter how busy you are, you can do this. And when this is done, of course, always check with your gut, your higher self, and your doctor to see if any routine is good or healthy for you. I'm here just to educate, but doing these types of things and these practices in our lives really are foundational. They're a discipline, and you want to be devoted to your health because this is your temple. This is your temple that you have while you're here on earth, right? And you want it to last. No different than a car or a home. You want it to last. You want to maintain it. And this is the simplest way, in my opinion, to maintain your physicality and your temple.
That's awesome. I'm going to get my mom onto this because she could really use this. That's cool. So I remember looking at these videos back in the day, like YouTube, 2006, 2007. And it was like this whole process of the castor oil pack. You had to buy all the stuff and do the saran wrap. And, it's funny because with the saran wrap, for me, it never felt quite right. Like you said before, your higher self, like it never felt right. I thought like putting that plastic over the heat and the oil, it just didn't resonate with me. So that's probably not a good thing to do, to put that plastic over you, right?
You got it. The way that most people recommend castor oil packs is pretty toxic. So for an example, many people say just use an old rag. You don't want to use an old rag for this. Are you kidding me? This is like a major therapeutic treatment and instrument. An old rag will have chemicals in it from things that you washed. Who knows what this old rag contains, bacteria, etc. And remember, castor oil is bringing this all into the body. So number one, that's not healthy. You absolutely want to use organic material. Bottom line, organic material. You don't want any chemicals, anything like that. And then the oil is incredibly important for it to be, again, in a glass bottle, the cold pressed, hexane free, chemical free. And you absolutely never want to put plastic right up against the body with this oil, with castor oil, because it brings everything into the system. So I love how you said that, because I felt exactly the same way. I was like, this is just not cool. Like, and it also felt like an 80s horror movie, like from the exercise craze days, like where they were like wrapping their whole wherever there was fat, they would wrap it up in plastic to burn it off. Like, honest to goodness.
No, that's crazy.
Like, no.
Yeah, because it all seems so difficult to do, with the plastic and doing it. There's a whole, like, if you go on YouTube and search, there's this whole procedure about how to do it. It just seems so intense,
There's no need, my specialty is actually simplifying the ancient medicines. And that's why I'm a medical mystic, right? Is because I take things like old meditations from the ancient mystics, like St. Teresa of Davila. We have one coming out about the interior castle, but it's a simplified version. My skill is to take what these amazing, intuitive, following the path people who are saintly, right? And using their practices and making them incredibly simple for us to implement them in our modern day society, because we aren't living in, 100 BC or, 100 AD either, or like the 1500s or the 1300s. Like, we aren't living there anymore. We're here in the 2000s, right? And we have to adapt those treatments to our modern day society and make them healthy for us here. Right. And so that's my goal and my mission. And my overwhelming thing that I love to say to people is know thyself. Because when you start to do treatments and self-care practices such as these disciplines and these devotions to yourself, what happens is that you start to get a deeper appreciation and understanding of who you are and what it is that you need out of life. And things start to change. Your perception about things begin to change. How you look at things begin to change. What you value in your life begins to change. And it's pretty amazing what happens to you as a being. Like, you evolve little by little, day by day, according to your practice. So make the time and adopt these devotions into your life, and you'll just see what it does.
If you guys are just tuning in late, we're with Dr. Marisol Teijeiro. This is episode 669. So I'll put the links to everything, to her castor oil packs, to her book, and all that good stuff over at extremehealthradio.com/669. And Dr. Marisol, do you want to take a few questions?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And at the end of that, we'll talk a little bit about some seminars you have coming up and stuff like that too. So if you guys are on YouTube, or if you're watching on Facebook, let's do this. If you're watching on Facebook, head on over to our YouTube channel, because it's kind of difficult to go to all these different places for the questions. So if you have questions and you're on YouTube, type them in all caps. And what I will do right now is let me do this so that we can bring that up and I can look and see all the different questions. So I'll start back at the very beginning and see if there's anything that we can take a look at here. And if you have any questions, type in all caps and I'll start from the beginning and kind of scroll through. Okay, so DHURV wants to know castor oil benefits in neurohacking. I guess just brain?
Yeah, well, yeah, brain as well as like nervous system, like the stimulation of the nerve cells. Again, here's the thing. Nerve cells are all made of fat. Right? Like nerve cells, brain, it's completely fatty tissue. So whenever, of course, fats are going to be one of the best tools and treatments. And castor oil, absolutely, same deal, because, the myelin sheath that helps with conduction, that's made of fat. Everything in the nervous system is made of fat, the nerve, the brain cell, all of it. So when you're using castor oil, what you're doing is you're helping to replenish and move out healthy fats and as opposed to move in the healthy fats and move out the unhealthy fats. Okay. So it's an excellent tool, absolutely excellent tool, right? Especially because castor oil, as its composition, 90% of the oil is made of ricinoleic acid, which the structure actually looks like a prostaglandin. So that end result that you get from fish oils. See, when you take fish oils, it has to convert into a prostaglandin in your body. The steps aren't as much as if you're taking like a flaxseed oil, like an omega-3 that's vegetarian, but it still has to convert. With castor oil, it doesn't have to convert. It's already, ricinoleic acid is a prostaglandin. So boom, immediately you have a replenishment that reduces inflammation, and anything that's oil is going to work exceptionally well on the nervous system because, well, it's the same, oil likes oil, like, so like treats like. So if it's an oil, you're going to treat the nervous system better. And then there's also components of omega-6 and omega-9, so linoleic acid as well as oleic acid, so like from olive oil and sesame oil, which is wonderful. So that's, again, the goal with neurological health is that oftentimes it's unhealthy oils that are making the cell structure, and you want to move in the good stuff and move out the bad stuff. And castor oil, carrier oil, right? Moves in the good stuff, takes out the bad stuff. That's what you want.
Awesome. Okay, this one comes from Shelly via email. She wants to know, how often should I do the castor oil? And if I do, how long will a certain pack last?
Awesome. So I obviously am not her doctor, so I can't speak specifically to her, but let me just give a generality here. Okay. So typically, I've always recommended to my patients castor oil packs to be practiced nightly, knowing that life happens and sometimes you don't get to do it every single night, right? Okay. So aim for it to be a really good practice that you do it at least 5 times a week, at least. Okay. Aim for that, right? Do your best. That's your goal. Okay. If it's your very first time doing a castor oil pack, I really highly recommend you do it at least for a minimum of 7 to 30 days, because then you get benefits over time, right? Because this is something that it is like compounding effect as you do it, like the snowball effect, right? The snowball starts really small, and then as it starts going down that hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and creates momentum and momentum. So you really want to have a good discipline of practicing it nightly initially. So then that way you can really take advantage of the benefits in your body. And then after that, you can start to reduce the frequency of you doing the pack. So I have people, and I really let people kind of go with your gut with the castor oil pack, but, definitely try to do it a minimum of like somewhere between, 4 to 5 times a week if you can. Like, do your best.
Okay, let's say someone does it every day. How long would a typical bottle last?
Excellent. So usually about 2 to 3 weeks, because you use less and less oil as you go. And our castor oil packs, the Queen of the Thrones castor oil packs, last anywhere between 2 to 3 months, depending on how well you care for it. So you do, at the end of 2 to 3 months, you do want to replace it because, it's castor oil. We don't know exactly whether the castor oil comes out through the skin. It's possible. So it could be, putting toxins into your pack over time. And, as with anything with material and oil, it has a lifespan. So you'll have to replace it. You'll want to replace it after about 2 to 3 months. But it's still, it's less than $1 a day if you calculate it, like over 2 to 3 months period, like with a bottle. And so that is cheaper than any supplement you'll get. And actually, with my patients over time, I know that they're doing their castor oil packs because then I can start to take them up. Like, I can reduce their amounts of supplements that they take. Because over time with castor oil packs, what happens is that you're creating that foundation, so you need less and less supplements over time. So in the long run, you end up saving. Yeah, I love that too about it. Because I love supplements, but I don't want to be taking them so much all the time.
Yeah, totally. I hear you. Okay, so let's see. Scrolling through. Is it safer? Okay, so Bob wants to know about, it looks like it's safer to absorb through the skin than if you were to consume it orally. Yeah, you talked a little bit about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so what else here? Okay, where does the castor oil, this is from Dr. Ace. He's a member of our academy, so it's cool. He wants to know, where on earth does the castor oil originate from? I think we talked a little bit about that, right? Or is that just the use of it?
The history of it, like with Egyptian, it's actually from the Mediterranean basin. So it's really from the origins of Mesopotamia. So, it's deep ingrained there, but you can also see I've seen castor oil packs in the Caribbean. I mean, you can imagine, I'm sure continents broke off, et cetera, throughout the times. Like, I don't know the total history of the world, but I do know that it originated in the Mediterranean basin, and you could see it in places like Israel has a great production. India has a major production of it. Brazil, Caribbean countries as well too. So anywhere where the climate is like the Mediterranean basin, so hot throughout the year, and then with a little bit of a humidity level as well too. I've even seen it in British Columbia, Canada, growing like amazing trees of castor oil. It was just I remember the day I was walking in the park and I was like, oh my gosh, it's castor oil. And I'm like selfies and taking pictures and yeah.
That's so funny. What about, awesome. Dr. Ace also wants to know, what are the benefits from heating up the castor oil? Because we forgot to talk about this, but most recommendations are to use a hot water pack, right?
Yeah, so you don't have to with this pack because this pack actually will use your own bodily heat. So again, it takes out another one of the steps. So you'll notice that when you wear this, you get hotter. With women in menopause in the summertime, what we say to do instead of wearing it overnight to bed because they're already, having more hot flashes, they can wear it just for an hour during the day. But with this pack, you don't need to add the heat unless you absolutely want to add more heat to your body. Like in the wintertime, if you're more of a cooler constitution, you don't need the heat. The heat was really used because you wanted to open up, vasodilate, bring the circulation to the area, but you don't need to do it with this.
Okay. Now, can you? It doesn't have any harmful effect, does it?
No, no harmful effect. It's just going to, have that. You don't want to have heat on for too long though, because if you have heat, the nature of heat in therapy with your blood circulation is that eventually things start to pool. So if you have it too much heat for too long, then it starts to pool. So that's why I just like having the natural heat on this. But if you are a person who's colder, like in the wintertime, every once in a while, I'll add a heat pack and then I'll take it off just at the beginning, just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Or if there's period cramping that I might be having, I'll add a little bit more heat because that is a situation where I actually do want it to slow down and I don't want to have too much movement.
Okay, here's another question. It looks like it's primarily over the liver, but would you ever want to do it over the stomach and digestion or your intestinal tract? I love that. As well? Okay.
Yeah, so the very best place for digestion issues is truly here because when you wear the pack here, you're actually targeting the pancreas, the stomach, the gallbladder, the liver, parts of the ascending colon, so the large intestine, and the small intestine as well too. Remember, you don't need to cover the intestine completely, as long as you're getting parts of the major organs that are dealing with most of the inflammation.
Okay.
If you're having problems with pelvic region, fibroids, cysts, period cramps, anything along those lines, maybe you have stretch marks here after having a baby. The only time you never use a castor oil pack is if you're pregnant. So don't use castor oil packs if you're pregnant. Other than that, then they're safe to use. So what I do in those cases with ovarian cysts or fibroids or pelvic region things is I still have people do it on the liver one night and then I have them do it over the pelvic region. And the reason for that is that I want to have alternating, but the liver still is a source problem of the hormonal disbalance of the major inflammation that they're having that's promoting this condition. But, eclectic use of castor oil has been used specifically to help with breaking down of cysts, ovarian cysts, say in polycystic ovarian syndrome. In my case, in specific, when I was 26, I had ovaries that were filled with cysts, and I don't have that at all anymore. Wow. And I contribute that personally to, I also had a fatty liver, which is also, the formation of cysts in the liver. Mm-hmm. And I also don't have that anymore after, years of doing castor oil packs. So I'm actually healthier now at 42. Oops, I gave my age at 42 than I was at 26.
Yeah, now that's really cool. So, Anthony wants to know, Anthony Childs is a member of our academy, really cool guy. But he wants to know, does castor oil grow hair? I know a lot of people have talked about that.
It sure does. And that's why, our beauty sleep kit, that's why we use it on the eyebrows and the eyelashes to grow hair. And we actually have coming out shortly a hair kit with an actual hair turban that is made specifically, same type of material that we use for the castor oil pack. For hair growth in men, I just say use it like a gel, just put a little bit of oil in your roots. For women, if you have longer hair, you put it in the roots, but then you also put it at the bottom of the hair so that wherever the roots are, if they're cracking. And it is very exceptional to work. It works incredible on hair. And the mechanism of action of that is multiple. Castor oil also stimulates nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is a super promoter of circulation. So you nourish the hair follicle is what you're doing.
Yeah, interesting. So cool. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Gosh, Hayes says, is there any Is there any condition for which castor oil would not be beneficial? It doesn't sound like it, right?
Pregnancy would be the only one. But other than that, autoimmunity, like across the board, autoimmunity, cancer. I mean, it's and why does it work for all of these conditions? Is because it's foundation. It's foundation medicine, right? There's a difference between symptom-specific medicine. This does work on certain symptoms, but more specifically, it's foundation. So you build there's a wonderful parable in the Bible about building your house on a rock or building your house in the sand. If you build your house on rock, no matter the wind, no matter the hurricane, it is stable. It lasts. If you build your house on sand, if there's a wind, if there's a wave, your house will fall down. And our health is exactly the same because these are our temples that we've been given. So what we want to do is we want to create a solid foundation. Good food, good mind practices, movement, exercise, castor oil packs, breathing, meditation. Those are my foundational practices. And those are the things that I hope I can teach and educate people about the importance of how those disciplines and that a devotion to a practice like that can really take your health to a different level.
I like that. That's cool. Hayes says, I mix 50-50 castor oil and black seed oil on my skin. Should I use 100% castor oil? I guess it depends on what they want to do, right?
Exactly. It totally depends what they're using it for. Like I love black seed oil as well too, because it does have really great anti-inflammatory properties, but also major antioxidants as well. But I would probably do more like 3/4 castor oil and less, because black seed oil is also very expensive compared to castor oil. So just get a very, very high quality castor oil, like the Queen of the Thrones castor oil, and then you do like 3/4 of that. And again, because remember, castor oil is bringing that black human seed oil into the system deeper.
I see. Okay, way above says, do you use it for any psoriasis patients or maybe as a liver pack for a skin rash?
100%. Yeah, as a liver pack. I've even used castor oil topically, sometimes just castor oil, and sometimes I mix castor oil with baking soda into a paste. So you literally make it into a paste and then you apply it topically.
Interesting. Okay. Maria wants to know where you can buy it. You can buy it on drmarisol.com. If you want to support our work as well as her work, there should be a link down below and you can buy a pack. I think you gave a 10% discount, right? For EHR.
10% off through your link. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. So yeah, if you guys want to get 10% off, the code is EHR10. And Maria, there should be a link down in the description if you want to support her work and our work as well. And are there, let's see. Where do I buy it? Oh, this is interesting. Someone said something about injectable. How about as an injectable?
Oh. Well, I haven't played around with that, but however, there is research, and castor oil is, well, it's a form of castor oil that's been manipulated that is combined with multiple drugs. So like diazepam, an anti-anxiety drug, also chemotherapeutic agent as well too. And they're testing castor oil mixed with these as a way to keep the drug in the system longer. So to increase the half-life of the drug, so that it has more effect before just like coming into the system, causing damage, and then coming out of the system. So then if they can keep it in the system working for longer, and people would need less dosage over the long run, it would be better for their health. So another way that they're experimenting, but please do not inject castor oil normally. Please, this is something that needs to be done with your doctor that has a very good understanding, and it's not just castor oil in a bottle. So let's just be clear on that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, a lot of questions here, guys. We're going to try to go through really quickly. Let's see. Okay, is it good for hormone regulation? I think that's what you mentioned before about it being on the liver, right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very important for hormones. I think for my practice, that's probably one of the biggest game changers for hormones. Like it does, again, because with the hormones go out of whack when there's an excessive amount of stress and inflammation. Again, you're not going to be procreating, having babies when you're excessively stressed. So castor oil packs, that action that it has, like you cannot compare that to much, except like going to a massage therapist every single day, which you can't literally do that because of timing and cost, right?
That would feel amazing though, wouldn't it? That'd be so great.
It would feel amazing, but you just can't afford it and you don't have the time to do that either. So there's no way there.
What about for use in children, and what age groups would get the benefits?
I love it with children. We've used it with chronic constipation with babies, children. Like, I mean, from the time that they're young, when they're newborns, we do little castor oil belly massages and rubs. This actually helps them to create a really good microbiome and get really good belly health and really great digestion. So we start using it super early with all of our babes in practice, like early. And then all throughout youth, anxiety, stress, whatever the child might be experiencing, problems with the bowels, difficult eaters, like anything, if they're having problems, anything along those lines, behavioral wise, autism spectrum children, amazing. Works really, really great. Because again, it's building oxytocin, it's calming their nervous system down. You know, Templeton Grandin was known for the hug machine. Again, what the hug machine did with kids with autism is that it creates more oxytocin in the system. And then remember, castor oil packs creates oxytocin, calming the system down.
Okay, cool. Okay, so one final question. Actually, another one just came in. Let's do two more. Okay, so what about use for dogs? Can you use it on animals?
I've used it on my little dog a couple of times with little things like skin conditions and such. And I've even, but I don't recommend this, but this is what I've done. My personal is I've done little micro dosages when she was having in her water, when she was having digestive and constipation problems. And she did really, really well with it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
But micro, we're talking like I have a 4-pound Yorkie. So, I mean, I was just trying it out. I don't know if I would recommend that to people. I think you should talk to your vet first, just to be sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so where do I apply it for hormone balancing? And that was over the liver, right?
Yes, over the liver. For hormone balancing, you want to be using it over the liver because remember, it's your liver that is balancing your hormones out because your liver processes hormones, make sure that they go out. And then you want to ensure that you're going to the bathroom regularly. If you're finding that you're not going to the bathroom regularly, what you can do is wear it on the liver and then maybe one night wear it on the pelvic region. But on the livers, you'll get the most benefit.
Okay. And what about use for gum issues?
Yes. So oil pulling, which is an ancient Ayurvedic practice, normally done with coconut oil and sesame oil, a mix of that, is better done with castor oil. You use less oil, so you use only 1 to 2 teaspoons, and you do oil pulling for 1 to 2 minutes. And for those who don't know what oil pulling is, basically you just put the oil in your mouth and you swish it around like that. And then you spit it up into a cup and you do that for 2 minutes. And you'll notice when you spit up the oil, it's like white and foamy. That's all the bacteria that's coming out and all the disgustingness that needs to leave the system. Wow. It's great.
I've only done it with coconut oil, but wow, I never thought about doing castor oil.
Try it with castor oil. I mean, and again, castor oil has a different unique taste to it. Some people will add a little bit of peppermint or clove just to give it a nice little flavoring. Very, very mild amount, but that does wonders for your microbiome and your biofilm in your mouth. So I love recommending it to my patients for that.
Cool. And Peter Michael says, would it be good for infertility? And I guess if you're balancing hormones, would indirectly be good, right?
Yeah, we were just having some questions about that on Instagram today. And infertility, absolutely, because infertility is, the best way that I've always described this to my patients is that the garden isn't healthy. You're trying to plant a seed, but if the garden isn't healthy, how can you plant that seed? Again, there's another great parable in the Bible about sowing seeds. If you put a seed in thorns, it's not going to grow. If you put a seed in rocks, it's not going to grow. But if you put a seed in fertile sand, fertile ground, fertile soil that has water and nutrients and sun, of course, you're going to be able to see it evolve. So whenever anyone's dealing with infertility, here's the main thing to focus on is how do you create an environment for a seed to grow, and just focus on that. Good nutrition, castor oil packs for good flow, elimination of toxicity out of the body, and really creating that amazing foundation for that home to grow and be strong.
Okay, gosh, some good questions coming in, and I hate to not answer them. Okay, so Isla wants to know, why would it be dangerous for pregnancies?
Well, here's the thing. Castor oil is used orally to, stimulate a labor that is overdue. So midwives use this all the time for that, because again, what castor oil does is it does move the soft tissue of the body, which is the intestines and the uterus. Okay. So it's more noted when it's done orally because you need some pretty high doses to do it, but just of course to be on the safe side, we don't want to be stimulating anything when you're pregnant. But if you're over term, like overturned, then you can go talk to your midwife or your doctor and see how you can use castor oil. And I personally loved my patients using castor oil packs instead of oral castor oil to stimulate childbirth.
Interesting. Okay. This is a good question too. And I've thought about this before, but I don't know why I didn't think about it during this talk with you, the expert on castor oil, is can you use a drop in your eye each day? And would that be beneficial?
So castor oil has been shown to be very effective in the eye. And I mean, naturopathic doctors use it as an eclectic treatment for glaucoma, prevention of cataracts, many different benefits. And again, you know, castor oil is an anti-inflammatory, produces glutathione. The vitreous area of the glutathione, the vitreous area of the eye contains a high level of glutathione. And there's been some neat research on it as well too. So it has been used, absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Good to know. All right. So Dr. Marisol, I want to ask you, I think you got a couple like events coming up or something, right?
Yeah, we do. For those who are listening or watching, come join us on our Instagram at Queen of the Thrones, or even on our website. And we have a really great seminar or masterclass all about food sensitivities and how to test them at home. Because one of the ways that we reduce inflammation and stress on the gut, right, which is what I love to do, is by connecting and understanding which foods bother you. So if you learn about these food sensitivities, then what can happen is that you'll be able to, you know, assess them at home, check them out without expensive testing, and be able to do better by your body. So you can basically, if you can put your email into any one of the boxes and download any of the freebies here. Like as an example, if you go all the way to the bottom,
There we go.
Yeah, right here. So go there. If you go to the free gift, download that 50 Shades of Poo. And then what can happen is that you can put your name in there. Yeah. And then you can get some information about your stools, but more so than that, we will invite you to our seminar, and on Instagram, we're promoting it quite a bit. And do check out my new book, because this is great. It's called Oh Shit. That's right. And this is basically the Bible on how to connect to your body and really clear up your digestion and calm it down. So if you're having any issues with like IBS or constipation or diarrhea or any type of digestive problems or any hormonal problems for that extent, and health begins within the gut. And this is a good Bible to help you to do that.
Yeah, and I think we have a link down below is that book available on Amazon too?
It sure is. Yeah, it's available on Amazon, but also available on our website, and people will get a 10% discount if you get it from our website going through your link. So please support Justin and go through his link.
Oh, cool. Well, Dr. Marisol, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Man, what a cool thing. I just love these types of things because they're easy and they're like the foundation. If you're focusing on the liver, that's 500 functions that it does. So it's just amazing. Thanks for coming on and sharing. I've been wanting to do a show on castor oil for years. So this has been
awesome.
Great.
Well, I'm so happy we found each other, and thank you for allowing me the privilege to share it. And I'm humbly so grateful to be help guide people on this journey. So thank you so much. And I hope people do come and follow me. I'd love to see you.
Yeah, make sure to follow Dr. Marisol on Instagram. I see all of her posts and her stories and all the good stuff. And you're posting on there quite a bit, right?
Yeah, cool. we're regular because we love to teach and we just love to get people engaged in the process. And we speak about a lot of things, mystical and magical. And, you know, I really love talking about myths and stories and fables. So you'll see we do a lot of edutainment. So we love to entertain and educate at the same time.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's like one of the things I always tell people is disconnect yourself from the mainstream media, disconnect yourself from all that news and all that stuff, and start looking at people like Dr. Marisol, like hopefully us and other people that are putting out good information, and get information from people that empower you, right? That's the name of the game, right?
100%. You need to stand guard at what your mind watches and sees every day, because you want to have the best of the best information. So we need to stand guard and be very picky about what comes into our environment.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thank you, Dr. Marisol. That was so awesome, and I really appreciate it. You're amazing. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Justin. It's been just such a pleasure. Lots of love to everybody.
All right. I will send you a link to the video. Maybe I'll send you the video itself if I can do that, because who knows about censorship. So, so what are you going to do the rest of today? Anything fun?
Oh, I'm going to go get a colon hydrotherapy. that's my day. I'm going to go get a colon hydrotherapy and an IV. I love it. I'm going
awesome.
for a little bit of a 2-week journeys with my family and my father. So just to keep myself healthy in my best shape ever, I'm going to go get that done. And then I have date night with my husband. So I can't wait for that.
Oh, cool,
so excited.
cool.
Yes.
That's great. Cool. Awesome. All right, Dr. Marisol, have a great day. And I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Thanks so much, Justin. Lots of love. Bye.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Here. Uh-oh. Am I there now? Okay. I think something happened to my audio there for a second. I'm not sure what happened. All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break, and I want to share with you a couple things that I've come across in the Extreme Health Academy in terms of this coronavirus. A little kind of different, but I want to share with you, and I got some updates on the pine pollen too. I want to share with you some of that stuff too. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back right after this break.
And then I encourage, we can talk more about this. What do I do to help people speed up the healing of leaky gut?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you mentioned aloe before, mm-hmm. and that is one of the herbs that I definitely recommend, using for helping to heal leaky gut. You want to use herbs that are anti-inflammatory and soothing and healing to the intestinal lining. So aloe is a great one.
Yeah, guys. So I recommend aloe vera as another health practice, a health discipline. And if you guys know the benefits of aloe vera, it's incredible. And, one of the best things to do is to educate yourself as to how to take care of your human frame, like your body. How do you take care of it? One of the best things to do is taking something like a tonic, like aloe vera, which has been around for thousands of years. It's just incredible. And let me read to you a little bit here. It says it has over 75 active compounds, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, amino acids, ormus, unique sugars like polysaccharides, mannose, and lignans. It helps to accelerate gut and wound healing. It topically helps to prevent aging. It's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It has an immune system stimulator, and it produces macrophages and increases tumor necrosis factor A in the body. I can't say it does anything, can't make claims, but if you go to the health food store and you look at the aloe vera that's there, most likely it's going to be coming with lots of other chemicals and constituents. The Stockton Aloe One, what I love about it is that it's raw. It's harvested by hand. It's unprocessed. It's unfiltered. They don't heat it up. There's no preservatives. There's no chemicals. And what's cool is they ship it to you. They harvest it and then they ship it to you right away. And it comes to you actually frozen. And so what you could do is take an ounce of this a day. Like imagine doing this every day for, what if you did like a protocol, like a castor oil pack a day for 30 days and you did an ounce of aloe vera or 2 or 3 ounces of aloe vera per day for 30 days. Like imagine what that would do for your colon health and your gut health. It would be tremendous, right? So this is just great stuff, and I highly recommend it to everybody. Check it out. It's called Stockton Aloe One, and if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, there should be a link down below for Stockton Aloe One in our store, biochargeme.com. But just a great, great product, and I love supporting good people doing good work. And here's another great person I love, funny guy, Dr. Randy Tent. He was on the show a while back. Really cool. He's talking about sauna therapy now.
When people talk about sweating, most people, look at this as an isolated event. You're detoxing properly with, the infrared sauna. Making sure nutritionally on the inside, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 essential fats. Making sure that you're closing down those pathways is just as important as detoxing, because when people start detoxing their body, that's chelation. So when people want to come in and do all this chelation, I'm like, you understand, metals and minerals are cousins. I'll be pulling both out of you at the same time. So when you start chelating, these deficient people are just toxic. You're actually even pulling their minerals down at the same time, and they don't understand that. You got to push the machine like the doctors you were talking about. And learning to sweat is a fantastic way to detoxify. They claim you can get about 50% of the poisons out of you through your skin if you sweat successfully. And with your, you got a very intelligent client audience here, and the more fat you got, the more places you have to hold stuff. You want to try to get as much fat off you can because you don't store stuff. I wanted to go to the bathroom and show my steel cylinder. I'm going to use the steel cylinder as much as I can because I don't want any more plastic than I have to. And people can talk about a safe plastic, and I understand there's safe plastics, but I don't know if that safe plastic was sitting out in the sun, because I can taste some of that plastic that sits in the sun, and it tastes funny. We gave plastic to our kids, plastic pacifiers to our kids, plastic bottles to our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plastic everywhere.
And aluminum lined juice boxes that I've seen on the kids.
Dr. Randy Tent. I love that guy. But yeah, he's got a point, right? A lot of plastic. So what you want to do is make sure to detoxify a lot of these volatile, what they call volatile organic compounds. And these things get stored in our tissues and in our fat cells. And what far infrared light is able to do, it's actually, people think it's like a heat, but it's a light therapy device, this sauna. And it's far infrared frequencies. And what it does is it actually oscillates at a super high frequency, and it allows for the fat cells to change their shape and to squeeze out these toxins that get stored there. So if you see someone that's obese or overweight, that just means they're storing lots of toxins. So what I like to do is do a sauna therapy. Now, we've been having like incredible heat waves in Southern California recently. So I've only been able to do about 20-minute sessions, but I try to get it done every single day. Sauna therapy is amazing, and we offer lots of different types of saunas. So, like for example, we just added the Therasage sauna, and we have the wooden ones. We have the ozone sauna. So if you're looking for, we have the lay-down saunas as well. So if you're looking for saunas and you are not looking for the relax, but looking for something different, we probably have it on biochargeme.com. So make sure to check those out. The one I use and recommend is the Relax Far Infrared Sauna, because for the price point and the effectiveness, I don't think you can beat this thing. It's just by far my favorite healing device. And we have the hydrogen machine, we have red light therapy devices, we have PEMF devices, and we have the Bellicon, but this thing is just incredible. So I highly recommend making the foundation of your health a big priority in your life. Like, alter your environment and change your home. Get some of these tools so that you can do sauna therapy on a regular basis at home, right? And so you can even put castor oil over your liver as you're in the sauna, combined with DMSO, something I've done. It's just a great thing to do. And yeah, so we'll be right back right after this.
This is Extreme Health Radio, where we're 100% listener supported. Make sure to join the Extreme Health Academy with thousands of other listeners and get real solutions for your health challenges.
Yeah, so one of my passions is creating tools and resources that you're not going to hear about on the mainstream news, that actually help people. And that's why I wanted to highlight Dr. Marisol Teijeiro today, talking about castor oil, because this is something that we could all do at home, right? We could all do this kind of therapy. And I like to do it. Kate and I, we, go through the whole process of putting our kids to bed. We have the orange lights on, and we go through this whole process, right, and put the kids to bed. And then when Kate puts them to bed, I typically do the dishes, I clean up the house, and then when she comes out from putting the kids down, we'll do a little castor oil. We'll lay down on the ground. Maybe we'll watch something on Netflix, or maybe we'll watch something, or maybe we'll just talk, and we do our little castor oils, castor oil packs that way at the end of the night. And it's just a great thing to do. But that's oil would be much easier to do. And what I like about it too is that you can sleep with it on. That's pretty cool. So interesting stuff. So really quickly, I wanted to share with you, I've been working on this coronavirus resource tool inside the Academy for over 2 weeks now, compiling all of the evidence, all of the information here. And let me just show it to you really quickly. And I'd like to show this to you because I think for me, there's a lot of fear going around in the world today, and a lot of people just are not understanding what's actually going on. And I wanted to put together a resource inside the Academy that will allow you to have the tools from what I would call trusted resources. And these are people that the mainstream sort of normies, what did you call them, would trust. So this is going to be like studies from the NIH. This is going to be quotes from the CDC. This is going to be studies put out by the WHO. And there's going to be quotes and interviews from Dr. Anthony Fauci and people like this, where these are what these people are saying. And so there's no disputing that. That's not like Dr. Bergman or Dr. Jack Cruz or any of these high-level doctors talking, and normal people might not, listen to them. This is coming from their mouth themselves. And so let me bring this up and I'll show you. So we have here, I have it broken up in sections. The first one is the intro, and it just talks about our goal with this information. And then I have here on the left side testing. And you can see here the inventor of the PCR test says they don't work. The president of Tanzania tested a goat and a fruit. And there's a link to the articles right there, where it's right there in front of everyone. Here's the quote from Dr. Carrie Mullis talking about the PCR test and why these tests, quote, cannot detect free infectious viruses at all. The PCR test is is the main test they're using along with the antibody test. This is the inventor of the test himself saying they do not work for testing and detecting infectious viruses. Here's a deleted and a banned video from our former guest, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, titled The Rooster in the River of Rats, where he talks about Koch's postulates in the event that they haven't even isolated the virus for testing. So here's some other stats. State of Illinois is counting more people dying of COVID than from it. 50% false positives from antibody tests, with a link. Dr. Birx in a 1-minute video clip, quote, if you have 1% of the population infected and you have a test that it's only 99% specific, then if you find a positive, then 50% of the time it will be a real positive and 50% of the time it won't be. So this means Dr. Birx herself is saying that there's a 50% false positive rate. The CDC has been combining antibody tests, previous exposure, with current infection tests. And the quote is, combining numbers from antibody and viral tests pushes up the total number of tests conducted in the U.S., but antibody tests are often intended for the general public, not just people with suspected infections, so that they can skew a key indicator of how the pandemic is progressing. The percentage of the test that comes back positive. So here's a quote, a link to the actual CDC. I mean, this goes on and on, guys. Ohio governor tests positive, then negative. A PGA player, Cameron Champ, tests positive, then negative 3 different times. More than 450 labs reporting 100% positivity in the state's Florida latest report. 90 of 144 people received false positive diagnoses. So this just goes on. You can see, right? So this is actual studies. And then we get into the reporting. The COVID-19 fatality rate is, quote, the worst miscalculation in the history of humanity, says PhD candidate in epidemiology. We have the source material for both those. And COVID has a 0.26% death rate. This means if you get diagnosed and you have symptoms, your chances of surviving are 99.74. I mean, this just goes on and on. Here's a director of public health in Illinois. She says, quote, technically, if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the time, it is still listed as a COVID test. So this goes on and on, right? I mean, look at all this information. And then we get into the masking, right? The masking. Look at all these studies. The CDC says itself wearing a mask won't prevent possible infection. 3 source articles on that. WHO says kids 5 and under should not have to wear a mask. 2 sources on that, where the WHO said this. Moisture retention, reuse of cloth mask, and poor filtration may result in increased risk of infection. Penetration of cloth masks by particles was almost 97%, and medical mask 44%. We have the link to that one. I mean, this is crazy, right? We have the link, and look at all these videos too. We've got all these videos. The ineffectiveness of masks. I mean, this is all laid out for you guys right here with the studies, and then we get into the contact tracing. We have a whole solutions-based protocol. We have a take action. We have a non-conditional acceptance for masks and a non-conditional acceptance for vaccines. You can print out and click and along with other resources here inside the Academy. So the whole solutions, I did a 26-part video inside the Academy for 26 solutions to the coronavirus. So this is something we're going to be adding to over time with more resources that the average person will accept. So this is all out there, guys. You just got to do the research. I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I've been doing the research for longer than this, compiling all this information. But we've been doing the research in terms of putting together and aggregating all of this content for 2 weeks now. I've been working on it day and night for 2 weeks, and I've got a lot more I have to add in. But these are actual source materials of quotes from Dr. Fauci, WHO, CDC, all of these people saying what's actually going on, and they're telling it to you right in your face. But a lot of times, not only do we not see it, but if we talk to people about it, we talk to them about it in terms of, here's what Dr. Bergman said, or here's what Dr. Jack Cruz said, or here's what Dr. So-and-so, Dr. Mercola said. And people that have never heard of them don't trust them. So this is why I wanted to put together actual resources of studies, quotes from them themselves. And so this is why we put together this whole coronavirus, we're calling it the